bullshit. Oh, that was so good.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house. I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral. In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back. The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to. The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent, as if they're about to say something but never do. The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it. As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house. Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11. For the first time in years, I felt like I was home. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth. After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes. I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him. Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan, but I had no idea what was behind the door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it. I ate a lot of things that night. I kept eating and eating. Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat. I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. I jumped and I almost got her. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I gobbled her up.
Got him.
And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits.
Nice. Let's go.
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit.
Oh yeah.
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
Oh, let's go. Yeah.
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy sweets. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
There you
I grabbed on
Oh,
tight,
let's go, dude.
but I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water.
Come on.
When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
Second.
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, but I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't. After the last
Yeah,
passage,
boy.
I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
That was sick nasty.
I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe. I got closer and closer. All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath
Savage.
for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be
I'm not sure if I believed all of that.
Oh my god,
but I'm
10,
sure
11.
Edie would have.
Let's go. 6.5 seconds ahead of PV, which was
This will be
stupid.
obvious
Yeah.
later, but my mom never told me
I
any
have
of these
no
stories.
idea, baby. I think
Edie
so.
would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
Alright.
Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, Odin Finch buries on January 7th, but 40-foot waves. Odin's daughter Edie, Odin Finch is the first. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sam, Calvin, dinner's ready. Coming.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing. After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
3 hours later.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box, and as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent. She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
Finch rattled and grew still.
Hang on, baby.
Oh dear!
Oh!
Duders, you out there lurking on this, brother?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
We need...
I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act
I don't
furious.
know what to tell you, baby. Go
All I'm
lay
getting
down.
from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb!
She held my
you
crutch
seen
all
my other
night
crutch?
long.
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show.
Yep, but I'm done with this.
Hours later,
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Walter, are you there?
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing.
Got it.
He could have not. She played her part beautifully. While story might not be over yet. The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Nice.
She
Let's go.
It was coming from inside the house.
It's gonna be like a 2258, Barbara. Maybe a little more, or a little less.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen.
She was gonna be
Going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box was all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was.
2257.
Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Boy.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Nice. I don't know what it is about that, but that music box turn is the worst for me. I'm so bad at it. Oh, get off it.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
Just hide your dirty ass uncle eating pizzas.
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave. Well, I still can. I know it's out there, somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara. And Molly. And Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day. Even if it kills me.
Please don't let me rip Gregory on this.
I want you to know, I'm ready for it.
My RNG on Gregory is so bad.
I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Good split here. There should be a gold one.
Walter died when I was 6.
Oh yeah, 12.78 ahead.
I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here. I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Go! Don't you dare! Bitch backed up on me once. Split Walter at 2804.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive.
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2,
I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself.
and found out what happened to everyone else.
But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem.
Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now.
I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Get it.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault. Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery. I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
Nice. What was that? Good release.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing,
I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense.
No, don't you? Oh, what the fuck? Oh my god. Had to do one. No. Not even close.
Dawn, I promise. Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will.
Okay, got it.
Come on, load.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. The camera's older than you are.
Oh, come on.
Hey!
That's
Garbage.
a keeper.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee. I'm just saying, I'm not always...
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of him.
Really?
Dad.
What is this fucking saying right now?
Do I have to do it?
Great shot, Dawn! I'm
Well,
proud
I was
of you,
12
Dawn.
seconds ahead.
Always remember that, okay?
Dad, it's twitching.
Load screen.
It's totally normal, Dawn.
Missed like
Just focus on the
3 or
camera.
4 different
Try not to
pictures.
think about...
I tried to pick the thing up and start it, put it back down. Yeah.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom
I'm
had told
still
me.
12 seconds ahead, but that was not a good split. I should have been even more ahead. Honestly, I'd rather have that happen than get a good
After Sam died,
freaking Gregory, though.
my mom and Edie got really close.
Please
They'd
don't let me
both
rip
lost
this.
a lot.
I ripped the shit by 25 seconds earlier.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way
Okay.
Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
Okay.
I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Bartend over, Gregory. It's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello?
Give me some good duck RNG.
Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw.
Oh, let's go. Yeah, baby!
What the world was like.
Come on, can we go?
It reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination.
Nice, savage.
I know how silly it sounds. But I worried about a baby being too happy.
Let's fucking go.
But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called her, she could have told us.
Let's fucking go!
What we saw. There's so much I don't understand. About Gregory. About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. He'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
Let's go. Yeah, boy. 38:20. 17 seconds ahead.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea.
Okay.
Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, "We don't need a stepmom," were the words that
I now pronounce you husband and wife. Wake him bride.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder." I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't.
Holy shit, what is this split?
Until we found you.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet... She never talked about him, but Mom told me once
Yeah,
if I
vote
was
split.
a boy, they were going to name me Gus. My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the
Don't
time,
load on me.
it was as far away as she could get.
Come on, come on. There we go.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Lewis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal, but it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush. I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
Oh, I'm 21-12 ahead. Nice. That's what's up.
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it
The
getting
final
out.
split's gonna be savage.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself.
Nice.
After he graduated, he just
Good
spent more and
stairs,
more
let's
time in his
go.
room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
What is this run right now?
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Smoking them tweeds and shit.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that had not names. He knew it was all in his head.
Fuck.
But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
You should come watch this, dude. This run is savage right now.
But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on. In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a beautiful prince. The prince was on his own quest for radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of his electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it.
Oh, what the fuck, really?
In his own eyes, he'd become
That's
something
bullshit.
greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him. That the real Lewis was
Oh,
not the one
I
chopping
tried to hold
sand,
onto a fish to open
but
the
the
door.
one climbing
Apparently
the steps of a golden
it's
palace.
sensitive on the amount that you do by the time you get to it. Didn't mess me up that bad. I just had to go around.
My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
I'll probably take you to school too. Yeah, I got you.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
Oh, come on, baby. We're at 51,
The
52
palace would be
minutes
packed
exactly.
with his companions.
I think Duders is watching.
Including the wise Calico who had insisted on advising him.
I don't know. Shouldn't.
His prince waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head.
Better than last night.
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
19, 20. We're going to lose just a little bit on this one. 33, 24.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
13 seconds ahead. We lost some time there, though. We're definitely sub 102 in it, though.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing.
Oh, baby. Stop loading!
She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another.
We're gonna make up a lot of time.
All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
Or we should. Should say should. Yep. Last one.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance.
Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, it was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. I started seeing things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go!
Rip!
I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again.
My grandma.
The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom doesn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly.
Still don't understand what triggers that.
She got better for a while, and then she didn't.
I'm at 59.5 right now. Come on, stop loading.
And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now,
things didn't work out that way.
Coming out the vagina at 1 minute and 47 seconds.
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
101. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We're gonna beat 30, 27, 28, 29. Oh, 101 30.1. Beat the world record by 32.7 seconds. Let's go. Boy. $32.7 seconds. I had a fucking 10-11 Molly. That's fucking retarded. I don't think this will show up because of the chroma key, but yep, 101 30.1. Where's that Molly at? I don't think I can get that one up there. Oh.
Holy shit, man.
10, 11. Duders! Oh my god, bro. 101.30. I'm done with this run for a minute. That's fucking stupid. Let's see, I ripped.
I'm not taking that back anytime soon.
If you can, man, dude, it's yours, brother. You have to work for it, though. That's sick nasty. Let's see, I had a good split after Walter, and I should have had a good split. Man, I fucking butchered Sam, though. I lost a lot on Sam.
I'm glad I introduced you to this.
I am too, dude. Thank you, man. Like, this game is still, like... Oh, it's so good. So good. Might grind out in any percent after that just for a victory lap. See if we can't beat that. See, Gus was a gold split. Oh, I ripped Lewis. That's right, with the fish. I was 21-12 ahead at Milton. And then when I finished Lewis, I'd lost 8 seconds. 7.5. Holy shit. 32.77 PB. Oh. I'm gonna kill this so I can hack this up. But I'm gonna restart it.
I need to watch one of your runs in full to see what you're doing differently, cause a minute is big.
Yeah, it's pretty huge, man. I've gotten a couple of things in there that... I don't know, it's hard to explain some of them, because some of them I've just caught off, I found weird ways to manipulate the camera and catch little speed boosts, especially like on the stairs and shit. But you've probably noticed that before too when you're running. But I think my Molly is huge. Dude, I totally lost the vidya, but last night I was doing Molly practicing, and and like I slingshotted the fucking shark straight up
Yeah,
and
the
down,
camera manipulation can be interesting.
and flew him almost all the way down to the bottom of the hill, like completely missed the trees, and like, it was ridiculous. I don't know how I did it, and then I went to try to save it, but I accidentally just started a recording, and it erased it. I was like, oh, fuck, the shark was so good. Camera minute. Yeah, the cameras are fun, but yeah, like when I go into Barbara, I just do a backwards 180 turn, and I do that in a few places. The fog at the end is pretty huge. Hang on, let me cut this up. I'll be right back in like 10 seconds. Let me reboot this.